Okay, here we go, people. Here we go. We are going to get into the meaning of the title 616 in LA. Now, the reason I'm doing the meaning before I do the lyrics explained, because in order to understand the whole premise of the song, you have to understand the meaning of the title and why the title has so many links and connections to so many different things that has to do with not only Kendrick Lamar, but just the battle and the two sides that are going at each other in general and what they represent. Now, the first thing I'm going to get into is that what most people missed is that the title within itself is a double. It's a mirror of itself. So 616 in LA. If you take the letters L and A, L is the 12th letter of the alphabet and A is the first. So if you take the L, split it into two, we know 6 and 6 is 12. It's 616 in LA. Down to the colons and the time, 616, and the periods and the abbreviation for Los Angeles. Now, at the end of the record Tailor Made Freestyle, Drake asked Kendrick to provide him with some quintuple entendres for the battle. And the number 616, of course, is a quintuple entendre and probably more meanings, but I'm just going to get into the ones that are more popularly known and have been discussed already. Shout out to the comments for putting me on to a lot of these references. So shout out to Keem Williams 4611, Ruta God, Matthew Best 4821, and Bronze Kasik. So the 5 things that mainly relate to the numbers 616, the dates anyway, are the first show of Euphoria, of course, the title of Kendrick's Verse diss track, and the show that Drake executive produces was on June 16th, 2019. Tupac was born on June 16th of 1971. Father's Day of 2024 will also be on June 16th. Kendrick Lamar's first concert in Toronto on tour with Drake was June 16th of 2011. The OJ trial submission date was June 16th of 1994. So those are 5 things, a quintuple entendre, so to speak, that relate to the numbers 616. Now, the 6 and the 1 can also represent the art of writing itself. Now, there's 2 schools of thought. Now, the first school of thought is just the 6 writing traits by themselves, which are voice, ideas, conventions, organizations, word choice, and sentence fluency. Now, I think both of these MCs are very adept and talented at using these traits. But there's one stark difference in the way that they approach their writing and rapping ability. And that goes into the second school of thought, which is the 6+1. And what the 6+1 adds is presentation. And what Kendrick is accusing Drake of throughout every song, and what most people do accuse Drake of, is having a false presentation. And the presentation is based on a false foundation. Now, whether you believe that or not, again, that's up for discussion. But this is what Kendrick is alluding to again throughout this whole battle. So now, in the final diss track from Kendrick Lamar so far in this battle, he has a verse in there where he says, "Beat your ass and hide the Bible while God is watching." Well, in the Bible, there are a few chapter and verses, chapter 6 and verse 16, throughout the books of the Bible that directly relate to this battle and some of the ways and characteristics that Kendrick sees within Drake. So we'll start first with Corinthians chapter 6, verse 16. "Do you not know that he who unites himself with a prostitute is one with her in body? For it is said that the two become one flesh." Now, throughout the verses in the song Meet the Grams, Kendrick refers to Drake and alludes to Drake using escorts and prostitution multiple times throughout that record. I think this was a prelude and, again, a secret Easter egg, so to speak, as to what Kendrick would accuse Drake of and address during future songs within the battle. Meet the Grams, of course, being the most scathing that has been released thus far. Now, the next would be Luke 6:16, and that is about Judas. Judas, son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor. We know that Judas, of course, was the traitor of Jesus Christ in the Bible. Now, this of course alludes to what Kendrick is going to discuss in the lyrics in this song and all the other diss records really, is that Drake is surrounded by traitors within his own camp, and that is where Kendrick is getting his information about Drake in the battle. Now, the last verse I'm going to use is Revelation chapter 6, verse 16. Now, Revelation chapter 6 itself is about the apocalypse, and really it's about the consequences for man's actions, mishaps, missteps, and misdeeds. But anyway, it reads, "They call to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb." Now, the Lamb in that verse is said to represent Jesus Christ, but even deeper is said to represents transformation and resurrection through repentance of one's sins, so to speak. Now, loosely, I take that as what Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers was to Kendrick and his personal journey. And I think that's what he's alluding to Drake needing to do when he goes through the transgressions in Meet the Grams. Because if Drake doesn't do it on his own, then Kendrick is going to do it for him through this battle. So continuing on the religious symbolism, the temple menorah, not to be confused with the menorah from Hanukkah, which has 8 candles. The temple menorah has 7 candles. And the 7 candles in a temple menorah allude to the branches of human or secular knowledge. Now, those 6 branches are physics, philosophy, astronomy, medicine, music, and mathematics. Now, they're represented by the 6 lamps in a menorah inclined inwards towards and symbolically guided by the light of God, represented by the central lamp. That's the 7 lamps. So you got 6 on the outside and 1 in the middle, 6 and 1. Now, I know some of you are saying, what the hell is he talking about? Just follow me. Throughout the verses in 616 in LA, Kendrick alludes to him having a certain spirituality that Drake doesn't. Okay, so the menorah represents humankind needing the spirituality, the 7th knowledge, in order to be productive. Okay, otherwise humanity falls into chaos. So if you only have the 6 and Drake is the 6th God, he doesn't have the spirituality part, he falls into chaos. That's what leads to his transgressions as a human being, again, that we all have, right? But again, this is the symbolism just of the title and how it relates to Kendrick's angle towards Drake throughout the whole battle. And before anybody starts accusing anti-Semitism or anything like that, as far as I know, Kendrick does study under Hebrew Israelite of some type. So those are pretty much the same religions. I know they disagree on things historically, but I don't think there's any anti-Semitism in any of Kendrick's verses at all. He's just using references to history and religion and spirituality in general. So let's continue. Now we get to the Star of David. Now, if you look on the screen, you can see the diagram. The Star of David is made up, of course, of 6 angles. And now there's 2 lines that make up each angle, which you get 6 lines on each side of the star. So if you look at it, it's 6, 1, 6 in between. Now I know this is a little deep for people. I understand if you're not into this, move on to the lyrics explain, which will be dropping soon. Now, if you're into Marvel comics, you know that the original universe that all the comic books come out of and all the stories, the movies, all that come out of is Earth 616. Now, the comic books are basically just about conflict, the conflict of good versus evil, or the battle or the duality of oneself, meaning decision-making, good versus evil. Okay, so the 616 is a representation of the split between unity, right? So as I put the circle up around, and most people don't understand that the Star of David is just a circle split up into equal parts, as I put it up there now. And then if you fill it out a little bit more, that circle actually equals the wheel of the zodiac. Whether you believe in that or not, you don't have to, okay? But all the circle and the zodiac, all it means is completion. That's all it means. It's a cycle, just like a day. That's all the zodiac is. It's just a day or a year. So the 616 is 2 halves of a whole going against each other or coming together, whichever way this goes. So in essence, the number represents the battle all within itself, all battles, right? 2 equal parts, which side is gonna win? Good versus evil, red versus blue. The list goes on. I'm not gonna get controversial, right? So in conclusion, as you listen to, especially Kendrick Lamar, but really both sides of the MCs, they represent this energy. And I think that's why Kendrick used that number specifically for the title of this record. So I don't know whether he did it on purpose, it's divine intervention, it's some kind of awesome coincidence. But if you think about it, after this record, that's when Family Matters dropped, followed by Meet the Grams. That's when the battle totally shifted into the direction of Kendrick Lamar being a winner. And that was, like I said, that weekend, this record kicked off probably the greatest weekend in hip hop history thus far. So man, let me know what you think in the comments below about all this spooky information. And we're going to get into the lyrics explained. Like I said, I'm going to, depending on when you're watching this, if you're watching this new, I'm going to drop the lyrics explained tomorrow. But it would be confusing if I didn't preface with this first. All right, now this is going to be at the tail end of that video. I'm going to put this at the end of it, just so you don't have to go back and forth between two videos. People don't think I'm trying to like jam up the views, like run up the views to make you watch two videos. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. If you've been reading the screen, you already know, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. I'm trying to grow this channel. I think I'm putting out pretty good information. Y'all let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. And as always, we out.